Well, hello, and thanks for watching another episode of ARFCOM News, your twice-weekly dose of the finest 2A propaganda. Here's another periodic reminder: the federal government is still holding Matt Hoover and Chris Irvin as political prisoners for having a drawing of a machine gun part. And just this week, 3 other people got sentenced to less time for what I would argue are equal or even greater offenses.
The government!
Emmanuel Lopez only got 18 months for multiple Chinesium glicky switches. This other guy with a weird name was sentenced to just 2.5 years for stealing 24 guns from a licensed dealer, and Jonan Castillo is only going to spend 2 years in prison for smuggling 5 guns to Hathastani subjects in the frozen wastes up north. You know me, I believe all gun control laws are unconstitutional, and smuggling guns to oppress subjects in other lands is based.
We're doing the Lord's work here.
Now, like him or not, if you're watching this channel, you probably voted for Donald Trump given the alternative. And his administration is allowing this to continue. Yeah, he just got there, give him time and all that. But you know what? We don't have a lot of time to right wrongs, and they will never get it done if we don't make noise. So take a minute to make sure President Trump knows Hoover and Irvin are still wrongly imprisoned by calling 202-456-1111. And when you're done, email comments@whitehouse.gov. Trump can't do anything if we don't tell him what we want.
Watch your enemies, see them driven before you, they hear the lamentation of their women.
But it would be impossible for us to produce quality 2A propaganda without sponsors. So while you make that call, let's pay some bills. Today's video is sponsored by Surefire.
Little brother to Surefire's X300, the brand new XC3 handgun light offers all the features you would expect from Surefire, like 550 lumens and ambient controls, but the XC3 will fit common duty holsters originally designed for other weapon lights. It's also powered by a single, standard CR123 battery which loads through the front so you don't have to remove the light to change the battery. And by Aguila Ammo. ARs can be hungry little beasties, but rifle ammo usually comes in boxes of 20 when standard magazines hold 30. That's dumb, and it makes puppies sad, so Aguila now packages their 5.56 in 30-round boxes. It's also available in sealed plastic battle packs to keep your ammo tasting fresh for the pocky lips. And by 1776 Insurance. Most homeowners' insurance policies only cover up to $2,500 for firearms. Now, I don't know about you, but I've got more than that in just optics. 1776 gives you comprehensive coverage against breakage, theft, fire, and burglary for all your guns, and you don't have to give them your serial numbers. Speaking of the Trump regime, the White House extended Pam Blondie's deadline to recommend some gun control executive policies to repeal, and she blew right past that deadline too. Or did she?
Could all be part of the illusion.
Now, I have no reason to believe this is connected to her task, but the Department of Health and Human Services did take down the statement claiming gun violence is a public health issue put up by the former Surgeon General. A White House official said illegal violence of any sort is a crime issue. But removing that inane statement on a website which nobody really sees was only useful for upsetting box wine Karens.
Give Karen more wine.
Box of wine puts me right out.
Blondie is supposed to be identifying executive orders and other policies which actively violate Americans' 2A rights, like the importation bans. But what would you expect from the person whose name is listed as the defendant in the case the NRA filed against the state of Florida for violating the gun rights of 18 to 20-year-olds? A case they just lost again, by the way, with the justices of the 11th Circuit giving the dumbest reasoning ever.
You couldn't come up with anything cooler.
There are historical analog laws regarding firearms from a time when the age of majority was 21, for voting and everything else. Now that the age of majority is 18, that should be the age to enjoy constitutional rights. Or we should raise the age of majority. Can I get an amen?
Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition.
But before this case can get to the Supremes, Florida might just moot the whole thing by repealing the law. HB 759 was passed out of the Criminal Justice Subcommittee to the House Judiciary Committee. DeSantis has promised to roll back gun control imposed by Rick Scott, and so far, there seems to be the political will to get things turned around in the gunshine state.
It's like that's Florida water.
Just in case you needed any more reason to hate Pam Blondie's Justice Department, Now they have refused to investigate an obviously corrupt judge. Justice Elizabeth Rochford is the festering wildebeest snot who upheld the Illinois assault weapon ban. It's very likely she was literally bribed, but at the very least, she was heavily influenced by Jabba the Prick's generous contributions to her own re-election campaign. But when presented with the evidence of this obvious corruption, the DOJ's reaction was to shrug disinterestedly and bureaucrat and go on with their busy day of wasting tax dollars.
Because that's what we all do.
Now, I know at this point it might seem as though I'm just piling on Pam Bondi's Justice Department, but that's exactly what I'm doing. It has now come to my attention that Assistant U.S. Attorney Michael Simpson is filing against an en banc hearing in the Fifth Circuit for U.S. versus Peterson, which is a case involving suppressors. For the kids in the back of the class, what that means is the DOJ, as headed by Pam Blondie and Donald Trump, take the official position that silencers are not arms as protected by the Second Amendment. Now hold on, don't get it twisted. I'm not suggesting we would have been better off letting this team lose, but is this really what we voted for? Did you vote for the team who promised to continue defending unconstitutional gun laws? Or did you vote for the guy who said he'd put an end to it? A new study published by the Crime Prevention Research Center proves that not only do armed citizens stop more active shooters than cops do, they're less likely to get themselves hurt or to shoot innocent people when doing it. Now, I won't go so far as to say this is definitive proof that police are useless overall, but statistically, the cops are way behind regular folks who just happen to be on scene and take up the mantle of absolute Chad. These obvious truths are obvious to you folks because you are intelligent and astute, which is why it's so frustrating to see control freaks still trying to argue that when seconds count, you should wait for a cop who is minutes away and might just make everything worse anyway. Hey, remember that secret spying program the ATF didn't want you to know about? Well, they're still trying to suppress information about it. It's been an open secret for years that the federal government is engaged in wholesale spying on innocent Americans, particularly online gun-related purchases.
We monitored your little online chat. Now you're coming with us.
And when the GOA filed a FOIA request about it, those imbeciles at the ATF accidentally handed over unredacted documents. The feds have since been desperately trying to cover their mistake by attempting to prevent GOA attorneys from disclosing what's in those files, and the GOA just filed a motion to lift the gag order imposed by a previous court ruling. If you want to help them keep sticking it to the man, you should take a moment to stop by donate.gunowners.org and flip them a few quatloos. Come on. You're just going to spend that money on a Punisher skull ejection port cover anyway, weren't you? Hey, are you thinking of a new pistol optic and not really sure what to get? Well, of all the closed emitter sights, the Primary Arms HTX-1 is one of them. And our Dallas crew recently reviewed it, finding that it indeed fornicates hard and possibly rates among the top 3 micro reflex sights, enclosed or otherwise. Find out why in their video, after your moment of zen, of course. And now, for your moment of zen. Hey friends, do you like pews and pew-related things? Would you like to help us keep delivering you pure American pew propaganda at the low price of free? We literally couldn't pay the bills without our sponsors, so do us a solid and get yourself something nice from them. You deserve it. I love you. What do you think? Well, put that too then. In case you needed any more reason to hate Pam Blondie's. Why do I suck so much today?